how to set up external auxiliary switching for a Pirate Midi bridge control. This is a bridge 6, and I have 3 external momentary switches connected through a TRS cable to the Flexi 1 port of the bridge 6 controller, and the 3 switches, one's connected to the tip, one's connected to the rim or ring. It could be ring and tip, I can't remember. And the switch in the middle is common. It connects both ring and tip together. And that's the functionality offered through the editor, which we'll look at in a second, to do switching. So you can actually use the TRS connection to do 3 switches, 3 events. And I'm using these as global auxiliary switches. You can do individual patch switching. So what do? One of them, it's either tip or ring. So when I press this, it changes the patch between a preset clean and what I've called chime. So you can see I'm pressing the switch, it's changing. The control device is a Case Bliss preamp, a Plethora X3 from TC Electronic, and a Strymon compressor, compadre. I also have a Pirate Midi click. So when I press this switch, it's actually set to control through a smart switch into this switch, which is what I'm calling amp switch. So when I press the sequences through, and what that's doing is changing the switching for the click. And normally I would have a TRS cable going to the foot switch on this amp, which is a Fender Reverb Deluxe reissue, and that controls the tremolo and reverb. And the middle switch, which is combining both tip and ring together, is, when I press it, is changing the TC Electronic Plethora X3 to tuner mode, and back out again. So looking at the settings on the editor from Pirate Midi, if we go into global settings and we look at Flexiport settings, you can see Flexiport 1 is set up as a switch in, and I've set it up as medium sensitivity with 400 milliseconds for switch bounce. You can look up switch bounce elsewhere. I won't go into that now. And also I've set up global auxiliary messages here. So if I look at auxiliary switch 1, it's got tip, which is a toggle message. Sorry, this one is set up to be the smart message, so it's doing incremental stepping on switch 4. That's the tip, and oops, all the way out. The ring has toggle messages, and that's telling it to go to bank number 7, and the toggle off is telling it to go to bank number 8. The tip and ring is a toggle message that's sending control change. So the previous one was a program change. This is control change, channel 7, which is the TC Plethora. It's sending control of value 193, value 126. Their MIDI messages start at 0, so it doesn't know 127. So that just means 93 is the control for the tuner mode on them. So it's sending control code with the value of turn on 126, and the toggle off message is same channel, same CC command, and the value of 0, which means turn the unit back out of tuner mode. This is a test bed I use for all sorts of little projects, and it just has some hardware mounted on. Today we'll be using these 3 switches. These are single pole, single throw momentary switches. They're just smaller versions of these switches on the pedal board, and this TRS socket. The switches, turning it over, these are the 3 switches we're talking about. We'll call this one tip and this one ring, and this one in the middle will be tip and ring connected together. So it's grey, purple and blue wires. They're coming out to this DuPont connector, and I have these 3 wires connected to them. And to save confusion, because these wires are just scavenged from stuff, the color coding changes. The grey wire is connected, when I say grey, this one here is connected to this green wire, which I've scavenged into another grey wire, and that connects to this orange lead. Orange lead, and that goes to the tip connector there, the other way, tip connector of the TRS jack. The yellow wire similarly connects to, I've just got them twisted together again, to the black wire, which is going to the blue wire. So the outside switch is in effect. It's unfortunate, it's a mess, but it's connecting these 2 outside connectors, and the purple wire in the middle is connecting to this brown wire, which we're not using right now because that'll be for testing tip and ring together. So also the first connector here is the sleeve connector, and that is just connected to the common unshielded earth or sleeve connector here. So the idea is that if we plug this into a TRS cable into this socket and connect it to the Midi controller and configure Midi controller here into Flexiport 2, then we should be able to replicate this switching and show how and where you need diodes to make it work with 3 connections. Now I'm just realizing that this is turning out to be more content than I first imagined it would be. So I have plugged them in, and I'll be pressing these switches and showing the effect on the pedal board. So I'm not going to try and film both at once, but I'll just say which switch I'm pressing. So this is switch 1, 2, and 3, and there'll be tip, ring, and tip and ring. So I'll call them tip and ring. So I'm pressing the tip switch, and it's cycling through. Now I'm having to press the switch a few times because unfortunately the switch is a bit dodgy. I think it needs cleaning out, but it's currently cycling through those like you'd expect. Now if I press the other switch, it's changing clean and changing those banks. So looking at the indicators, that's switching the ring switch, and I'll press the momentary. You can see that's working. So I was just operating those 2 switches. At the moment, pressing that doesn't do anything because it's not connected to anything. Now, Now I've connected this brown wire, which is the middle switch, to both the tip and ring. And you can see the obvious problem. In order to switch both tip and ring together, you have to be connected to it. So all the wires, tip, ring, sleeve, are connected together, and you can imagine what the results are going to be when I start operating the switches. It only wants to switch tip and ring. I can't make it switch, so I'm operating all three. I'm cycling through operating all three switches here, and the only thing it'll do is that one switch. It doesn't like it. This is why we need the diodes to isolate the switch state of tip and ring. So I'm going to get those diodes now and show how that can be fixed. What I've now done is taken the same connections, but I've separated the tip and ring connections from the middle switch, which is connecting tip and ring together, through these two diodes. So it's all very temporary, just for demonstration. I haven't soldered, I just twisted it together. So this brown wire, the middle switch, is connected through these diodes to the tip and the ring. So the diodes act like a valve, a one-way valve. They'll send signal one way or the other. So when the switch is activated, it can flow through these diodes and connect to tip and ring, but it can't connect the other way. So when either of these two switches are activated, it doesn't connect to the common tip and ring. I don't even know what these diodes are. I just have them laying around, but they're tiny little diodes. So I'll now try and turn this over without sabotaging my efforts. And so I'm going through the switches again, 1, 2, and 3. First switch is doing its thing there. The second switch is tip and ring. That's switching the tuner motor on and off. And the third switch is changing the patches. So it works. You can use one TRS cable to do 3 auxiliary switches, but unless there's some other way, you can't just, you've got to use those diodes to make it happen. So I'll now attempt to draw a simple circuit diagram and film that, and good luck.
I hope the audio is alright because I had to unplug my microphone to power my phone. Battery was dying. Here's a picture of a diode in terms of its electrical symbol. That shows current can flow this way, but not that way. So it has a polarity, and also it has a one-way direction in terms of current flow. This is the physical package of an actual diode. The dark marking showing the direction of flow, and the arrows just showing the direction of flow. This diagram here is my attempt to draw a TRS jack up here, tip, ring, sleeve, and there's 3 open switches here, ring, tip, and ring. So all these switches are connecting to a common sleeve. This connection here, when open, nothing's happening. So when momentarily closed, this switch will connect to the ring. Closed, this switch will connect to the tip. When it does connect, it can't connect here because this diode's stopping it, and it can't connect here. So the only time both tip and ring can be connected is when this switch is closed and the connection to sleeve or ground, whatever you want to call it, can flow here to the ring and can flow here to the tip. don't think there's much else to it, but hopefully this helps somebody.